Subscribe or you're a coward.
C2 Wrestling, your boy's got a raspy voice. The voice is, I am not the voice of the voiceless. I'm the voiceless of the voiceless after SummerSlam weekend. Final show of the weekend, Monday Night Raw, has come and gone. CTD and the honorary Oos, the current inaugural reigning defending C2 Wrestling Predictions champion after his SummerSlam win. We got to talk Monday Night Raw though. Biggest thing, I apologize for my voice. It sounds awful, but there's just so much good stuff to talk about. First things first, main event Seth Rollins, LA Knight. It seems officially LA Knight on to Monday Night Raw. I do have a bit of a prediction that I'm going to circle back to with LA Knight officially being on Raw, it seems, but I'll get back to that. Match ends in a DQ when CM Punk attacks Seth Rollins. Then he gets into it with LA Knight a little bit. Then the Vision get the upper hand. And then Roman Reigns comes out and he gets the work from the Vision. Alec, I don't even know where to begin, but just from that segment alone, we have a potential six-man tag set up. We have a potential Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, potential Seth Rollins versus LA Knight, potential Seth Rollins versus CM Punk, potential CM Punk versus LA Knight, potential fatal four-way, potential triple threat. You name it. I
Yep.
don't even know where to begin besides I love it.
Yeah. No, it was top notch. I was not expecting Roman to come at the end. I was getting ready to set up for the episode, for tonight. And as soon as the credits were going, and I was like, all right, like I think it's actually ending. And when Roman's music hit, I actually got up from the couch. I was like, whoa, like that caught me off guard. Um, but yeah, no, he got to work for sure. It was a whooping. And that curb stomp was, oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Because it was really out of nowhere. And it was just like the perfect spot for him to get the curb stomp. And then the three tsunamis. And then the Braun Breaker spear was deadly as well. And I guess his knee's okay because he ran off those ropes real quick and ran down that ramp. So I'm glad to see he's doing well. There was no serious injury with that. But man, that main event, the match alone, take away from everything that happened after, the match alone was fantastic. And then it was everything I think we wanted, from the Saturday night main event that we got for the main event tonight for Raw. So the ending to the match itself, like I loved the ending of this Monday Night Raw.
So I do think that was a way to write Roman off again for a little bit.
Yep.
The three tsunamis, the taking of the shoes again. But a piece of me like wouldn't be surprised if there was a six-man tag first or something like that. I don't think there will be. But when I start thinking about Clash in Paris, I think a triple threat is quite possible
I
of
think
Rollins, LA Knight, and Punk. But it's just like all of these stories intertwined. This could go for weeks to months. And I love Gunther. We'll talk about Gunther in a second. I do like that we're getting these massive stories all revolving the World Heavyweight Championship because it's all personal feuds, but it's all about the World Heavyweight Championship because at the nucleus, they all hate each other, but they all want to be the guy at the top. And to be the guy at the top, you got to be the champion. Now, I mentioned I have a bit of a prediction. Maybe I missed something on Raw. It seems to me LA Knight is officially on Raw. Rollins is the champion. He's been on Raw more than he's been on SmackDown. He wasn't on the last few weeks before SummerSlam. I've got a weird feeling. Weird feeling. Everyone was saying for weeks, Jimmy Uso is going to go to Raw. Jimmy Uso is going to go to Raw. Jimmy and Jay are going to come back together and go to Raw. I think we're getting the opposite. I think Jay might be going to SmackDown. I think there's a chance the trade of Jey Uso for LA Knight, a like for like, is possible. because you look at the Fatu solo feud, Jimmy's helping Fatu. They need numbers. If that's going to be the War Games match, Jay has to make his way over there anyway. Now, Jay can easily work both shows because they don't really care about a brand split to begin with. But them seeming to have LA Knight fully on Raw and Jay not out to help Roman after Roman just took a bullet for him
Yep.
on night one makes me think they're going to tie that loose end by saying Jay wasn't there to help him because he got traded. Unless they said something tonight that I just missed as to why he wasn't there. Because if he just wasn't there because he wasn't there, why not? Why wouldn't he help Roman?
Yeah, no, I mean that's a good point. I mean, there wasn't anything said on Raw specifically about Jay, which is very interesting because, they did win. And I think that cash-in was like the overlook, I guess, on probably Roman and Jay winning, and especially being their first match at SummerSlam in general after this long history-making weekend for WWE. It was definitely under the radar because if you just clicked on Raw tonight and watched just this episode alone, you're like, oh yeah, like Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker are like the guys in that group, with Rollins. You would never have known that they lost 2 days ago against Roman and Jay. So that was definitely like, a good point in regards. Maybe Jay is going to go to SmackDown, but again, we don't know. I mean, it was definitely weird that it wasn't even mentioned at all. So it's definitely something that I guess we'll keep a lookout maybe for this Friday to see if Jay even appears. If Jay doesn't even appear on Friday, that's going to be pretty interesting. We're not saying that, anything crazy is going to happen with Jay, but like, not having him on, both of these main shows this week is, I feel like you need to have him at least appear once.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's one of the biggest stars in the company right now. So I'd be quite surprised if after their biggest show of the summer, he just isn't on and isn't involved in a relevant story going into some other big shows, especially he's got to be on Clash in Paris after how they were for him last year.
Yep.
You got to have his entrance through the crowd again. That SmackDown right before is in Lyon, and that's where they were so insane for him. So that's kind of my random bold take from the show that Jay's going to move to SmackDown. We'll bounce around a little bit and go from the men's world championship to the women's world championship because we have Naomi and Stephanie who faced off. Stephanie will be getting the title shot at Clash in Paris. But before then, next week, Io Sky gets a title shot against Naomi one on one. There was a segment. They are leaning more into Io, Rhea. Rhea said she hopes Io wins after getting her one on one title shot because she wants to beat her. And Io says, we know you'll never beat me. Before we went into SummerSlam, we wondered if Rhea doesn't win the championship, what would be next for her? It seems what's next for both of them is Rhea chasing that win against Io.
Yep.
And I think it's a strong enough story that it doesn't need a championship. So now you're going to get a top level story of Rhea. Man, my voice is shot. A top level story of Rhea and Io one on one, non title. And my assumption would be Naomi beats Io next week somehow, some way, and takes on Stephanie. We are spoiled with these matchups.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think this is something that we wanted. We wanted Rhea to step away from the main title for a bit. So maybe this can get, a trilogy out of this, or even a match, or at least two matches out of this in regards of not beating Io finally. I mean, we have now acknowledged this on the channel. Fans have acknowledged this, in regards of, her not beating Io. So I'm glad they're finally acknowledging it and going to use this as a storyline in regards of maybe just getting Rhea out of the title picture for some bit now. Even if it's for 3 months. I think 3 months would even be, better than, her being on the main title picture every pay-per-view because that's what it's been like. Again, no issues with Rhea, love her. Um, but you could see some fans, slowly turning that clock in regards of like, all right, this is getting old. So I feel like they got to start turning the clock the other way just for a little bit.
Completely agree. They did mention Gunther is out indefinitely, as I said before. Broke my heart, but it does have me feel a little bit better that if he's out right now for a bit, that December time period, he could be seen as last match. So that I just wanted to point that out. I'm devastated that he's gone, but I will pop like there has never been a pop before for when he returns. A bunch of stuff will float around. Sheamus and Rusev again, they can just face every single week. This time they fought the entire night. Shades of Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman from that story. Ends up Rusev and Sheamus bump into Sami Zayn, setting up a match next week of Rusev versus Sami Zayn in Montreal. Now we know Rusev and Sheamus aren't done. I'm interested where that goes. Does it lead to an eventual tag team again, or do we get a definitive winner between them? It's clear though Sami Zayn is past Karrion Kross. Kross not on Raw.
Not
Reports from
backstage.
reports from Fightful not backstage. No offers of a new contract. There was one prediction I had spot on at SummerSlam. I didn't get a lot right, but one thing I felt good about, they I don't think Cross is going to be re-signed. I don't know. Maybe he stays off for a bit and we get a truth situation and he gets brought back. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
Yeah, no, it's not with some of the social media with his retweets and some of the comments underneath from former Let Go wrestlers, um, fueling the fire in regards of just the mistreat him feeling mistreated, misused. Um, yeah, I would, if I was a betting man, I would bet more of the chance of him not being re-signed after this weekend and not being with WWE starting next week. It's unfortunate, but it is the business. But, we kind of saw it, kind of how the match went, on Saturday. The pace was weird. The match overall was weird. The ending was weird. So it just explains this whole entire situation as a weird situation. So that's where we're at right now. So, I mean, can't really say too much because, again, there's not really that much out in regards to that, but we'll definitely have an answer probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we were saying in the crowd when Cross was still standing in the ring for a little bit.
Mhm.
Granted, I'm sure he was waiting for his cue to come out of the ring after the match. But you and I were sat next to each other. We were like, this is off. Something is off. Something
Yeah.
is not right. This just feels weird. And it just keeps getting weirder. Speaking of weird, I think you need to check your mailbox because there's probably no Grande Americano mask in there because they're just multiplying. I love the intertwined stories. Tonight, during Dominic Mysterio versus Dragon Lee, El Grande comes out, and then another El Grande comes out, and then another El Grande comes out. We can assume it's Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. I have zero clue, zero clue what direction they're going in with this multiple El Grande story. Is this something that's going to play out for so long until Chad Gable comes back and we get the ultimate who's the real El Grande match? I have no idea. But for a character that was super hot, then cooled for a little bit, someone else possibly took the mask. People were a little wonky on it. El Grande appears in Mexico, red hot in AAA, is in a fatal four-way match now that will be on YouTube, live stream for AAA's event on August 16th. This might be, you could argue, this might be the most interesting aspect this El Grande story's ever had.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love this type of stuff in wrestling. I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea. We always have the serious stories and, the serious matches. And I don't know, I like always like the comedy side of it here and there, like the AJ Dom, build up to SummerSlam. That was great. Wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but I loved the build up and it paid off during the match. I think we're in the same situation here. I started laughing out loud when the third Americano, El Grande Americano came out, and I was like, this is great. And I hope we multiply to like 10 of them by the end of 2 months because I think this is just fantastic. So, I don't know, like I said, I like the little like comedy stuff here and there. You don't want too much of it, but I think in this case, the scenario, it's like the right amount because you're not getting it the entire show. And then I think going off, another comedy part of it, which I think has been great, has been the New Day. And they were a big part of this episode of Raw, which was like, I thought was great as well. That side of the comedy of them just mourning about the loss of the tag titles, I think has been fantastic. And Xavier, rocking the whole hat that's the size of a table. Oh, just I love that stuff and it hits like I don't know, it gives me that kid side of me. Like I said, I love the seriousness of wrestling at times and the seriousness of stories of really believing, but it's like it takes you back a little bit. It's like, yeah, like this is why I like really like wrestling as well. It's like storytelling, but it's also funny at the same time.
Yeah, it's having fun, and it's the saying I always bring up that Chris Van Vliet introduced me to one of his videos. Wrestling's like a buffet. There's something for everyone,
Yep.
and some aspects of comedy wrestling isn't for everyone. Tonight I enjoyed all aspects of the comedy, with Waller and the New Day, with Penta putting the hat on and
Oh,
doing the smooth
yeah.
operator walk. Like I enjoyed it all. So I'm excited for how that comes. Last but not least, one of the things we have to touch on, the greatest of all time is getting an Intercontinental Championship match. Nikki Bella, Becky Lynch, they have a promo. Lyra and Bailey, they will face again. That is clear. They had a backstage segment. If we're getting Rhea and Io, Lyra and Bailey, I mean, those are two strong, strong stories of great wrestlers with no titles involved.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to that. Seems we'll get Becky Lynch taking on Nikki Bella. And look, this one ain't for Snowden, that's for sure.
No.
But this is one we've talked about establishing some newer titles for when they come in. I love Julia. They've done a better job with this Intercontinental Championship than the United States Championship. I think Chelsea Green should have never lost the United States Championship. She should still be the champion right now, and it'd be helping that title. I think they still have hope with Julia and this Fallon Henley duo that they have going. But the title being on Becky, Becky's going to be on every week. Becky's going to be a notable story every week. And I love Nikki. I know not everybody does, but Nikki is a big name. Becky's a big name. This is a big matchup for the Intercontinental Championship. It's not going to be for everyone. I fully understand that. Hell, there's going to be aspects of it that's not even for me. But I will literally make the Eagles Super Bowl parade look like a 3-year-old's birthday party if Nikki Bella wins the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, no, the I'm excited for this feud. Yeah, I was not a big, Bella supporter, when I was young, but this overall story and like I like this whole taking away from this feud, Nikki really like she wants to come back. It's the best the women's wrestling has been, which it facts is. And she wants to like basically prove herself that she is gonna prove myself, Snowden, and many people were all like that the Bellas couldn't wrestle and they were just divas. Um, I think this storyline, she's serious in regards of like trying to prove herself right and also trying to prove to the wrestling fans like I can run the ropes with these girls in this current generation. So I like that side of the story, minus what happened tonight. So you got me hooked on that, but then you come out and drop a good promo as well. Because that was another thing people always said the promos were never really good, but it was a solid promo. and then the Becky hate as well. I enjoyed the promo from both sides. And then Becky dropping that mean line about John Cena, and then she no longer is with him and she can't see him. The crowd eruption was probably one of my top moments tonight. That crowd eruption was great. And them losing it to Nikki, her reaction to it, like it felt so real. And again, that's the point that we go back to. It's like at those moments of feeling realistic, it's like that's what makes you appreciate wrestling. Yes, it's fine to have those funny moments, but having those moments that feel so real when it gets a little personal, it makes you like, wow, like that was great. And that's how I reacted to it. So it makes me feel more excited for this match because that alone, the promos were great with each other. But I think they're going to put up a solid match one against each other.
LA Knight, Punk, Roman, back of the line. I need Seth Rollins. Me and Seth. Me and Nikki taking on Seth and Becky. Let's run it. Let's run it.
Yeah.
No one disrespects my girl Nikki like that. Absolutely not. I don't stand for it when Snowden says it. I sure as shit ain't gonna stand for it when Becky says it. Clash in Paris, NXT, SmackDown, the high school gym. You name the time, you name the place. I'm ready to run this fade with you two. I'm gonna make that end of days that Baron did to Becky look like child's play. Don't disrespect my girl Nikki like that. Nikki Bella for Intercontinental Champion. I want it. I don't care. I want it. I did enjoy Raw. There were aspects of it where I texted Snowden. I was like, feels like the show's dragging a little bit. And he was like, but it's good. And I was like, it is good. It's just when you have SmackDown and then a two-night show and then Raw, the Raw after Mania, you know, that one you really feel it, especially if it's not like out of this world good because you go from NX SmackDown to NXT to night one, night two, then to Raw. This, you lose the NXT, but for us going to it, driving all day home, being out, like it just adds up. So I was tired, but I'm glad that from the Becky segment, the main event segment, it brought me back up. Like I was still watching the show, I was enjoying it. Before the pre-show, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a little tired. No, it brought me back up. It brought me
Yep.
into it. So I enjoyed the show. I'm looking forward to SmackDown because I'm very intrigued. We have Cena promoted. We know he's going to be calling out Brock, who they mentioned tonight is
Yep.
back, obviously, since his return at SummerSlam. There's a few other aspects to be keep our eyes on. Cody will be back and he is the champion. We will be back before then, though. We have the podcast dropping on Thursday, videos coming left and right, SmackDown recap and review. Thank you, everyone who's come on to the channel. We had a ton of new people, a ton of new faces. We had people come on, do interviews pre and post Mania or SummerSlam, excuse me. Hopefully, you guys stay. If you're watching this right now and you're watching us for the first time and you've made it this far and you didn't subscribe, with the little bit of voice I have left, I'm telling you, you are a coward and I don't respect you.